meat with splintered shell.
That's the stuff we want to get at. Can you tell that I really adore fresh crab? Does it show? Because I'm feeling slightly in love with the whole Campervan living thing right now. This is what it's all about. Right, I'm ready to plate up. No point in being fussy. Great ingredients speak for themselves. First of all, that gorgeous risotto. Lovely and creamy with a beautiful wild fennel in there. Next, some wonderful, fresh Norfolk crab.
Finally, my boiled samphire, foraged from the local salt marshes earlier.
There's something really special you wouldn't get in a supermarket. Bit of zest. Last thing, a little bit of wild fennel from the side of the road. You never get that in any supermarket. And my friend the crab. That looks fantastic and I can't wait to dig in. I really hope it tastes as good as it looks. Let's go.
Okay, preparing the crab had taken slightly longer than I'd anticipated, and it was nearly midnight by the time I'd actually got it all ready. But sitting by the van, lit by the pale moonlight, this was a Campervan meal to remember.
Yes, honestly, seriously, I have to say, this is one of the tastiest meals I think I've ever cooked. Never mind in a field. It's just these ingredients. Well, fantastic. So simple. The only things that I've brought with me: an onion and some risotto rice. The rest is from out there. And you know what? Anyone can do it.
Still to come, I show you how to brighten up the journey with a Campervan game when I try to create a meal with food picked up only from roadside stalls.
Excellent. Thank you. See ya.
And I try my luck with a recipe from the Australian outback. Next morning, it was time to pack up the van before my adventure in Norfolk continued.
One of the things about living in a camper is organising your space. When you've got the bed out, all the stuff that normally lives in the boot has to go in the front. It's okay when there's only one of you, but when there's a whole family in here, it can be a ballet or it can be a car crash. My little tip, square storage boxes, you can get more in.
Having clocked up a few hundred miles on the trip, I'd already exhausted my CD collection. So now I was back on the open road, I decided to make my own entertainment.
It might be a good time to play roadside roulette. And in case you've never heard of roadside roulette, here's how it goes. You nominate a chef, and the next time you stop at one of those roadside stalls that sells fresh produce, slam on the anchors, grab what you can, and cook anything, as long as you use just those ingredients.
So the game was on.
Oh, here's one. Let's go, let's see what they've got. Oh, let's have a look.
Now remember, whatever they have on sale, I had to cook.
So it seems they sell free-range eggs, but they've run out, and they sell something else as well. To be honest with you, I don't fancy eating that.
So it was back to the van to find another roadside stall. Before I could play another round of roadside roulette, I found myself once again at the head of a long queue of traffic. But then the opportunity for a small personal triumph presented itself.
Do you know what? For the first time on this trip, I'm about to be not the one at the front of the queue. This could be a momentous moment. My first overtaking manoeuvre.
Sad I know, but that makes me a very happy man. Now, back to the game.
Once you start looking for roadside stalls, you kind of start to see them everywhere. Now, I've heard that round here, at this time of year, the broad beans are the thing to go for.
It's a sunny day. I've got some wine vinegar in the back. I've got some fresh herbs. It might be nice to make something a really zingy, fresh broad bean salad. And the thing about roadside roulette, if you can't think of anything to cook, you're just going to go hungry. This looks like a likely candidate. The next roadside stall looked a bit more promising. Hello. How are you doing? Wow, come see what I can find. Okay, lovely fresh spuds. Well, here we go. This is what I was looking for. Fresh broad beans. Do you mind if I pop one of these and have a look inside?
That's all right, that's fine.
Oh, they look fantastic.
Hello.
So sweet and fresh. I'm going to take a load of these. In fact, I'm going to take a massive handful. It might look greedy, but actually, you may not get that many out of this. £2.50. I bought the broad beans and a punnet of strawberries. Now I had to work out a recipe for tonight. You're very kind, you're very kind. Excellent. Thank you. See ya. That's lovely. I still didn't have a recipe, but at least I'd organised my camping spot for the night. I'd be cooking and camping in an orchard, part of a cider business. Cider in Norfolk? Time to find out more. I didn't know that Norfolk was famous for ciders.
We planted the orchard back in 1994.
Right.
So it's 15 years old now. And we wanted to plant West Country cider apples, proper bitter cider apples, so the cider has body and a bit of bite to it.
I live in Devon. Maybe a taste of home. Have you got any I can try or what?
This is more Devon-like.
I was going to say, it looks like a scrumpy to me. Oh, that's lovely. Unfortunately, I'm driving. So with my cider drinking on hold, I went off to find my pitch for the night. Now this is what I call a camping spot. These trees produce some of the best cider you'll ever drink. But Peter and Jim, the orchard's owners, were joining me for dinner in an hour, and I only had broad beans from my earlier roadside roulette game and a random packet of halloumi cheese in my cooler. But of course, I had a plan. I was going to make a damper bread on an open fire. It's an Australian recipe, and it's one of those recipes that just uses your kind of staples: flour, sugar, salt, the kind of things that the men of the outback would be able to carry with them. We're going to make it in a Dutch oven, which is a really exciting piece of camping equipment that goes straight in a fire. With my apple wood burning down nicely, it was time to knead the dough. What you need to do now, make that into a little loaf, like so. The dough was ready. The Dutch oven was greased to stop the bread from sticking. It was time for some baking. My coals were really hot by now, and just to be sure the oven reached a good temperature, I heaped more on the purpose-built lid. With my bread in the oven, it was time to sit back, enjoy the surroundings, and finish shelling my broad beans. This campervan cooking is a piece of cake. What could possibly go wrong?
Oh, beautiful, fresh broad beans from the side of the road. Deliciously sweet and tender.
Black smoke is not supposed to bellow from my oven just 10 minutes after I put the dough in.
It's a bit overcooked. Let's get it out.
The oven must have got much too hot, burning the outside of the bread without actually cooking it through.
We'll give it another go.
It turned out the answer to the problem was all in the name. The most important thing was the temperature.
Of course, there is a very good reason it's called damper bread. You dampen the fire before you put the bread on.
I had just enough dough and time to make another batch before my guests arrived.
Half an hour.
Time to use my lovely broad beans to make a summer salad with mint vinaigrette and use those hot coals to cook another campervan favourite of mine.
For a little extra special something, some grilled halloumi.
Just then, Peter and Jim arrived with a selection of ciders from apples grown in this very orchard. So nice of you to come. Take a seat. I've got some of this damper bread that I've been trying out. With my second attempt at damper bread still not ready, I stalled them by suggesting some cider tasting. First up, one of their more discerning single apple varieties.
Now, what's so special about this one?
It's got almost no tan in it.
It's a nice, easy drink for the summer.
Right. Wow, look at the colour of that. That's wonderful, isn't it?
Makes a change for us to sit and taste our own cider, really.
That's all right, isn't it? What about the alcohol content, or is that up to you?
That depends a lot on the weather.
Right, okay.
Hot summer, not much rain, lots of alcohol. Whereas if you get a wet, dull summer, then it doesn't produce as much sugar in the apples, so less alcohol. This is the least alcoholic of our ciders.
The least alcoholic?
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm really glad I'm here and not driving now.
For some reason, I was beginning to feel a bit lightheaded. Must have been the fumes from my campfire. Time to serve up while I was still capable.
Tomatoes, red onions?
Eat anything.
Yeah, okay. I hope you like broad beans.
Certainly do, grow them myself.
Next up, our fantastic griddled halloumi.
Cheesy salad, which then goes with our pièce de résistance, the bread.
Now the moment of truth. There wouldn't be time to make another loaf if this one was burnt as well.
Wow. That, I would argue, is perfect. Oh, it's still a bit hot, but how about that for a bit of bread cooked over an open fire?
Looks good.
I'm not going to cut this, I'm going to break it.
So there it was. Still warm damper bread with an onion and tomato salad, griddled halloumi, and local broad beans with a mint vinaigrette. It looked delicious, but what would my guests think?
It's lovely.
Is it still warm?
No yeast in there.
No, no yeast.
Well, that's amazing.
Self-raising flour.
It's lovely.
I mean, you can understand why it was so popular in Australia, because you just take a few really simple ingredients with you, and you know, you're in the middle of the outback. All you need is a fire, and you can cook it. A top up.
I could do with one, yeah, thanks.
But who needs the Australian outback when you can sit in a Norfolk orchard, serenaded by evening birdsong, with plenty of cider to keep you company?
It's really special, and it's another one of the brilliant tastes of Norfolk that, to be honest, I really never expected. Thank you for your campsite. I hope the damper bread dampens your appetites.
Next time, my campervan tour around Britain finds me in the beautiful county of Yorkshire, home to a rather challenging landscape. Here I find some rather unusual birds with the biggest eggs I've ever seen.
Look at that.
A campervan accident leads to a hospital visit and threatens the entire trip.
Not allowed to drive.
And will I really be able to make an edible dish out of these huge eggs?